It's been a while, everyone, but it's time for new Nintendo Switch eShop deals, and these roundups will now be back every Thursday and Saturday moving forward. In the lead up to the Switch 2 launch, I took a bit of a break from Thursday videos, and Saturdays, for the first time in nearly 6 years, I took 3 weeks off. I knew things would get crazy once the new system dropped, and yeah, I was not wrong. 17 videos in week 1 alone. It's been a blast. This week, I've covered everything from game reviews to performance checks, on how older Switch titles run on the new hardware. So if you've got any game or video requests, please drop them in the comments below. Also, don't worry, Switch 1 is still very much a priority for this channel. I want to make that abundantly clear. Today, though, it's back to the usual. This video covers my favourite live eShop deals across the US, Canada, UK, EU and Australia. Plus, I've got 2 winners to announce for 2 $10 eShop gift cards later in the video and 2 more up for grabs to enter. Just leave a comment down below and those winners, they'll be announced next Saturday. Quickly then, if you are new here or maybe someone that just quietly watches, this channel's been running now for 7 years. No fluff, just pure Nintendo coverage, and we're talking well over 1,000 videos. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It really helps out a smaller channel like mine, and it really just lets me keep doing what I do, and that is delivering more content for you. Alright, now let's get into it. Wavetale is 90% off. This one is a new low price, and if you've never played it, this is the perfect excuse to fix that. Now you play as Sigrid, a young girl given the mysterious ability to walk on water, and you'll be exploring the flooded remains of Strandville, fighting these sea monsters, swinging across rooftops and all sorts, and really digging into quite an emotional history of your character and your home. Now much of the story unfolds through her relationship with her grandmother as the two work together to save their community and confront the past. It's a short game, about 4 hours, but it makes the most of that time with incredible traversal, a cozy post-apocalyptic setting, and a surprisingly touching story about loss, legacy, and the bond between generations. For me with this one, just skating across the water feels incredible. It's one of the most satisfying movement systems I've played on Switch, and while there are occasional frame rate dips, they never ruin the experience. Now I haven't tested it on Switch 2 yet, but I'd expect it to run even smoother. So yeah, with this one, if you like narrative-driven adventures and games that let you just kind of vibe across its world, it's a lovely little gem, well worth diving into. Crow Country is 30% off, matching its lowest price ever, and if you're a fan of classic survival horror, this one's an absolute standout. Set in an abandoned 90s-era theme park, you play as Mara Forrest, arriving alone and uninvited to uncover the truth behind the park's sudden closure and its reclusive owner's disappearance. It nails that old-school horror vibe, fixed camera angles, eerie atmosphere, and puzzles that actually make you pause and think. The mystery then is soaked in mood and melancholy, slowly peeling back layers of greed, ambition, and something much more sinister. I absolutely adored it. The retro style here, incredible. It's just this really nice DNA, I guess. And yeah, there's this steady drip feed as well of unlocks and secrets that keeps you moving deeper into the darkness. Now, I was wrapped with this one in about 6 hours over 2 sittings because I just couldn't put it down. And my only real gripe is some enemy types, especially the poison ones, they have cheap, nearly unavoidable attacks that can get a bit, I guess, annoying in the back half of the experience. But even with that, it's an incredible experience, one of the best modern throwbacks I've played, and yeah, you can find my full review below. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 is 50% off and new lowest price, and if you've got even a passing interest in stealth games, I think it is essential. This isn't just a bundle, it's the foundation of an entire genre. It's been collected and preserved with a decent, well actually that's a lie, an okay level of care. But yeah, here you're getting the full original trilogy of stealth classics, the MSX versions of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, and then Metal Gear Solid in all its late 90s glory, and that's complete with VR missions, and yeah, the HD collection versions of MGS2 and MGS3. Basically, it's a hell of a lineup, and that's before you even get into the extras, and there's a lot of them. A huge selection of digital books, video graphic novels, and a soundtrack round it all out. This is stuff that would have been split across multiple collector's editions back in the day. These ports, though, however, as a warning, they're not flawless. Metal Gear Solid 2 in particular is strangely capped at 30 FPS despite running at 60 on PS2. There are also occasional frame drops across the board. Nothing major, but enough to notice. That said, though, I do still think it's very playable on the Switch, and again, I'd bet the Switch 2 locks most of this down without even trying. So yeah, look, it's a genuine piece of gaming history, and I do think it's worth the time. Loop Hero is 77% off in the US and Canada and 75% off in the UK, EU and Australia, with a new lowest ever price there for North America. Now, if you've missed it until now, this is one of the most brilliant indies of the last decade. Now, you don't control the hero directly. Instead, you build the world around them, placing terrain, enemies and structures as they endlessly march through a mysterious loop. What sounds abstract, though, becomes instantly addictive. Each expedition is a balancing act of risk and reward as you push deeper to gather rare resources and unlock powerful gear, always knowing death can wipe it all away. You're basically juggling short-term survival with long-term strategy, unlocking new classes, expanding your camp, and trying to break the time loop you are stuck in. The atmosphere here, incredible. It's just bleak, strange, and yeah, captivating. It's the lo-fi pixel art then and soundtrack give it a real sense of weight, and the further you go, the more you realize just how much depth is hiding under the surface. I've sunk dozens of hours into this one. It still pulls me back in. My only gripe, I guess, or warning, shall we say, it can feel hands-off at the start, but once it starts to click, it really clicks. So yeah, one of the smartest, most addictive games I've ever played, and at this price, an easy win. Find my full review below. Neon White is 50% off, matching its lowest ever price, and if you've been holding out, now is the time. It's a incredibly fast first-person speedrunner where you chain together movement and combat using what are called soul cards, so you can shoot with them or discard them for different moves like air dashes, double jumps, and more. Now, every level is basically a timed puzzle begging to be broken. You'll be playing as White, an assassin from hell, competing to earn a spot in heaven. The cast here just has style, the world has mystery, and there's even some light kind of Persona-style social linking if you want to dig deeper. Do not worry though, if you're just here to speedrun, pretty much all of that is optional. It's the movement though that makes this one so incredible. You're constantly just chasing faster times. There's online leaderboards, so you'll be doing things like spotting hidden shortcuts, and you just restart just so you can maybe shave off a second. Then performance-wise, it mostly holds 60 FPS on Switch, but I will be testing it again on Switch 2 because I bet it's gonna run flawlessly. But overall, stylish, sharp, and seriously hard to put down. Find my review below. Long Gone Days is 40% off, matching its lowest ever price. It's one of the most unique indie RPGs I've played in years. It's set in a modern day world torn by conflict, and it follows a character by the name of Rourke, a sniper raised in this underground paramilitary state who begins to basically question everything after his first mission to the surface. It's an RPG that basically trades fantasy for a dash of realism, I guess, focusing on human connection, language barriers, and the civilian cost of war. Now, combat then is turn-based with a body targeting system, and there's a separate sniper mode, or not mode I guess, but battles within the story where you manually line up shots, and I really like these moments, so I will say I wish there was more of them. There's just definitely not enough. But yeah, the narrative is really what pulled me in though. It's not flawless, pacing dips a little in the middle, but it had something to say, and I cared about the characters by the end game. What I especially appreciated was the length. At around 8 hours, it's kind of tight and manageable, a rare thing in the genre, so it's perfect if you want something, interesting without the usual 60-hour commitment. My review's below. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is 40% off, a brand new low, and if you're even remotely interested in classic fighters, it's a must-buy. It brings together 7 incredible arcade titles in one polished package. That's X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes, and finally the rare beat-em-up The Punisher. Now, all 7 games here support online play with rollback netcode, along with save anywhere options, training modes, adjustable difficulty, and one-button specials for newcomers. There's also then a huge gallery of over 500 pieces of artwork, more than 200 music tracks, and even old dev docs for fans to explore. So yeah, what can I say really? Look, it's an incredible collection, a true celebration of the golden age of arcade fighters, and it runs flawlessly. Highly recommended. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection is 50% off, matching its lowest ever price, and if you're into fast, brutal action games, it's a classic set worth picking up. Now, these are the 3D entries, but it includes, of course, 1, 2, and 3. Now, these are some of the most intense and demanding action titles from the 2000s, bundled together with all their extra modes and DLC costumes. Now, you'll be playing as Ryu, carving through waves of enemies with incredible speed, tight combos, and again, punishing difficulty. Each game, though, still holds up thanks to that signature flow. You know, once you lock into the rhythm of dodges, counters, and slashes, it feels incredible. You also get to tag in other characters through the experience, or at least in certain modes. And that's some nice variety within, I guess, all of the mayhem. But yeah, again, hard as nails, no question. So just a warning there if you're new to the series. But look, if you're after skill-based action and don't mind getting knocked down more than a few times on the way to mastery, there's nothing quite like them. Personally, I'm actually still holding out hope we get Ninja Gaiden Black on Switch 2. I actually played that on PS5 recently, and it is incredible. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom Prince's Edition is 84% off, matching its lowest price, and here you're playing as Evan, a young king forced into exile who sets out to build a new kingdom from scratch while uniting the realm against this rising evil. Now, this edition includes the full game, all expansions, and the Prince's Equipment Pack. So basically, it's a complete package with dozens of hours of content. So yeah, this one, if you played the first game, it's very similar. That animated look, you're going to recognize it immediately. But I will say here, just to be clear, Studio Ghibli wasn't involved with this one. And for that reason, personally, I still prefer the original. But there's no denying this sequel is a lot of fun in its own right. Also, the performance for it was solid on Switch 1, but I've actually been testing it on Switch 2, and the improvements here are clear. Smoother frame rate, cleaner feel, and just a more polished overall presentation. So yeah, if you're after something light, charming, and surprisingly expansive that runs at a near lock 60 FPS, it's a very easy recommendation. SHINOBI no GRATA is 30% off, matching its lowest price, and if you're a fan of classic Ninja Gaiden style action, talking like the old school side-scrollers, a total gem. Now, it's set in 1838 Japan, and you play as a demon-slaying shinobi out to stop this clan from basically plunging the country into chaos with the help of dark forces. So basically, it's a hardcore 2D side-scroller with incredible controls, punishing difficulty, and some genuinely gorgeous kind of retro pixel art. In this one, though, you've got a trusty sword for close-up combat, but the real fun comes from mixing in tools, you know, different accessories that you do have. It gives it a surprising amount of variety, which is kind of that modern touch they've added here. But yeah, overall, it's very much a love letter to the NES era, but with just enough modern polish to keep it feeling fresh. So yeah, tough game, incredibly fair though, and once it clicks, incredibly satisfying. You can actually, as well, if you're curious, check out my review below. Our winners of the two $10 eShop gift cards then are on screen right now. Congrats on the win both. Email me for the code, and everyone else, drop a comment down below for your chance in next Saturday's video. Outer Wilds Archaeologist Edition then is 40% off a new lowest price. It includes both the base game and the Echoes of the Eye expansion. Now, if you've never played it, this is one of the most unforgettable indie experiences of the last few years. It's a first-person open-world mystery where you're basically stuck in a 22-minute time loop exploring a handcrafted solar system that changes in real time. Now, generally, you're basically part of a small space program uncovering ancient alien ruins, decoding lost technology, and slowly piecing together what's really happening across the stars. Each planet, though, has its own wild rules, shifting sands, crumbling cores, entire cities hidden underground, and every discovery feels earned. It's the kind of game where knowledge is the reward. Now, on Switch 1, I do want to say it was definitely playable, but the visuals were incredibly soft and the frame rate often dipped. I still recommend it. The game is that good, but now on Switch 2, it's a whole different story. I booted it up recently, well, in the last few days, obviously, and the difference is night and day. The frame rate is locked and the visuals are crisp and clear. It finally feels like the version this masterpiece deserves. Now, I'll actually have a full video on it very soon, but even now at this price, I think it's absolutely worth picking up Switch 1 or Switch 2, honestly. This game should be experienced. Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP is 40% off, matching its lowest ever price, but let me be upfront here. If you're on a Switch 1, I can't recommend it. Covered it in a video, but even after patches, the performance here is rough. Unstable frame rate, input lag, and a general lack of polish that just hurts the experience. That said, on Switch 2, totally different story. I dropped a video this week, and performance has been cleaned up massively. Now, it's not a visual overhaul, things still look about the same, but the frame rate is now, for the most part, locked and consistent, and it makes a huge difference in a fast-paced action game like this. Now, as for the game itself, it's as wild as ever. You play as Juliet, a chainsaw-wielding cheerleader, cutting through zombie hordes with over-the-top combos, goofy dialogue, and some new tweaks in RePOP like faster chainsaw attacks and auto-fire for the blaster. It's ridiculous, chaotic, and very much a product of its time, but that's the charm. Now, both of those videos are linked down below, but again, like Switch 1 players, I wouldn't touch it. Switch 2, take a look, it's great fun. And that is the video down. Will you be adding anything to the library this week? Let me know in the comments. And with that, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews, deals, news and lists daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers all.